Joining us right now to weigh in is the President and Chief Investment Officer of Aviance Capital Management. Chris Bertelsen is with us. Chris, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
So do you own Apple?
Yes, we do.
What are you expecting out of the quarter this morning? What should we be looking for in terms of the drivers in the last 3 months?
Well, I think if we could just get through this quarter, the next one really counts for Apple. This quarter, I think the sales of 7s and 7 Pluses may make average selling prices a little higher, and they could stretch to $2, but there's some real opportunity going forward. 10-year cycle with the iPhone coming out, high-end phone. I think you could see a super cycle in iPhones, which would be great for the next quarter. This quarter, I think, as I say, just get through it. There's some storm clouds on the horizon for Apple, but we could very well see a pretty strong next quarter out of Apple.
Do you see the consumer as strong as you would expect at this point in the cycle right now? Are they buying iPhones?
Yeah, I think, Maria, the real question is how much they're going to delay the purchase from the iPhone 6 to the iPhone 8. I mean, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the original iPhone, so that's pretty exciting news, and a lot of guys are waiting to buy the iPhone 8. What I'll be looking for, Maria, and Chris, I'd like to get your thoughts on this, is demand in China. Demand in China and Apple services. What are those two things going to look like? Is there another trick up the sleeve of Apple after the iPhone 8 comes out?
Well, I think in China, certainly they're really kowtowing to the Chinese in the sense that they said for VPNs, networks like that, they said, okay, we're going to shut them off. They're really trying to make a mark in China. I think their sales do increase in China. It's still a status symbol to have the iPhone there.
Yeah, David, the importance of Apple cannot be underestimated. I mean, it's changed your business, the technology business.
Well, look, Apple is a very compelling platform. When you think about who are the new players where people are consuming content, it's Facebook, it's Google, and it's Apple. And each of them are starting to dip their feet into the water, and some of them are starting to get in waist deep.
With original content. With
original content. Eddie Q was quite aggressive with Jimmy Iovine, and they're having some real success by having their own music IP on their platform. They've commissioned some content themselves. Facebook is now getting into original content. YouTube is getting into original content. So what used to be the traditional distributors, now it's all in that how do consumers want to consume content, and that's a big piece, as you say, the Apple services. What are they going to offer on these devices where people are going to say, wow? And
that could be a home run for millennials, which is the market that all service providers really want to tap, because that's a huge burgeoning group of people who are going to be consuming immensely.
So, and that's what they're spending the money on.
But there's some drawbacks to it, too. If you look at the coming of Alexa, Echo, you could see a real change, and the app revolution may start to die down. And who knows, we could just call in Alexa, and that might change some things for Apple and put some competition out for them.
And also, we can't forget Google Home. Google has a similar service.
Absolutely.
It's not quite as popular as Alexa, but we were joking. I was with a family member over the weekend, and we were joking about Siri and what a joke Siri is. And that's kind of, when you compare Siri's performance to Alexa, that you can't even put those two ladies in the same category. And so Apple has a lot of work to do. And if it doesn't begin to show signs that it's stepping up in terms of voice in the home, controlling how you interact with your devices when you're not walking around in the street or driving.
It's an interesting point, even as the media guys are looking behind them to say, okay, the Apples of the world are having original content. Apple better get with it in terms of the home items like an Alexa, David.
Well, they have the technology issue, which they've always done a great job at, and they need to continue to innovate. But Apple starts with this idea of satisfying the consumer. That's where Steve Jobs started. As opposed to creating a piece of content and saying, I hope the consumer likes it. He always started with what is the consumer going to get nourished by and love. Whereas, let's say, Google starts with analytics. What are they, it's a very different, one is more of a technology company. Apple is technology, but it's really driven by trying to create a product that people love. And so it'll be interesting to see how they both attack IP and content, because they're both getting in.
That's a great point. Chris, real quick on earnings, you think this quarter is going to be as strong as the first?
Almost as strong. It continues on. Employment looks good. Yes.
Good to see you, Chris. Thanks so much. Chris Bertelsen, stay with Fox Business.